Hey, what's up? I'm talking about Los Monstruos, a new-ish Dark Horse comic. The first issue came out on May 7th. It's June 7th at time of recording, so I'm pretty late to talk about this first issue, but the next issue comes out, I think, on the 18th. It was written by James Robinson with art done by Jesus Marino, and I've really enjoyed it, so I'm going to talk about the first issue a little bit, the story, and my thoughts and feelings. Okay, let's get into it. Los Monstruos follows Perry Cutter, a ex-cop turned werewolf PI who lives and works in Los Monstruos. We learn later on that this is literally his only option, since the city is the one location where all of the monsters in the United States are able to reside, but I'll save that for later. Put a pin in it. We're first introduced to Perry as he's chasing a gill man through the sewers. This seems like it's really just to show that he's a werewolf and also establish a little bit about his character. We see that he's on a mission to save a vampire kid who was kidnapped by the gill man. He's able to return the vampire kid to his parents, and then we see that the vampires themselves are kind of the upper echelon. They're old world money, like your traditional Dracula vampire type, whereas Perry himself is much more boots on the ground, middle class, grit, like your traditional film noir detective.
So you're a private detective? I didn't know they existed except in books, or else they were greasy little men snooping around hotel corridors.
For a lot of the rest of the comic, we're just following Perry through his normal day. We see him go to a diner and talk to a waitress named Daisy, I think. I'll have to double check if that's her name. The conversation between the two ends with her asking him out, and Perry feeling embarrassed and bad that he didn't pick up on her interest before.
Ask for her number, you moron.
We then see the real meat and potatoes of the story with Perry talking to an older man. This old man is human. He's from outside of the city and got a visa to come specifically talk to Perry and hire him to help find a missing vampire. The vampire is a woman he once loved who, when monsters were forced to move to Los Monstruos, he lost contact with. She had offered to turn him into a vampire at the time, and he said no. Now he's trying to track her down, not to try to become a vampire or anything like that. He's too old, his life is almost done. But he is trying to seek closure and just let her know that he never stopped loving her. This is when we learn about the plot and the world, maybe most importantly, that the city itself is like a walled area, and after monsters were revealed to the US and presumably the rest of the world, the monsters had helped the US fight Cuba or something. We don't learn a whole lot about that. It's kind of a throwaway line. But after monsters were revealed, the city was built and all of them were made to move there. We also learn that humans can be turned into monsters. They aren't just born monsters. Perry warns him that he might not be able to solve this case since he only has a week. The old man's visa will be up after that, so he will lose touch, won't be able to get in touch with them. Perry does take the case, and so we next see him go to the precinct where he was once a cop before being fired. It sounds like he was framed for something, but we don't learn too many details about that. Perry catches up with one of his old friends or one of his old colleagues, where we learn that the vampire he's after really doesn't have any records in the city, but the word on the street or the gossip around her is that she is dating or was in a relationship with a character known as Ramses, who is like a crime boss casino owner. While he's at the precinct, we also are introduced to a few other characters, including the night shift crew, who seem to be a group of crooked cops who will do anything in order to crack their case, including framing people, torture. It seems like all the cards are on the table. We also get to see Inez de Soto, who probably has my favorite character design in the entire comic. She's a Bride of Frankenstein, or a Frankenstein's monster character.
The Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, I love her yellow suit. She looks great. But she's also internal affairs for the police department and not only dislikes Perry, but also threatens to investigate the officer that was helping Perry track down the woman. Even though they both know and have a conversation about how the officer is innocent of anything, the investigation would really just be to scare him off of talking to Perry in the future. And that's sort of where the comic leaves us at the end. It reestablishes that Perry is going to talk to Ramses, and we see that he is being followed. Perry knows that he's being followed. It's like a sixth sense from being a werewolf. I also think it's worth mentioning that we really only see Perry wolf out once in this comic, but it's done very well. I'm a big fan of the monsters and creature designs. I'm actually going to use that as a transition to talk about the art in the comic. So Los Monstruos does do a great job. We get kind of a menagerie of different monster designs. I particularly like one 2-page spread that kind of shows the entirety of downtown Los Monstruos, and it does a great job at showing just the diversity of the designs and the monsters that are present within the city. The comic itself as a whole feels very traditional in the way that it looks, which I think is great because Los Monstruos does lean into that like old school Hollywood aesthetic, and so I really feel like that complements the story itself to have an artistically classic style. I'm a big fan of monsters. I talk about monsters a lot on my channel. I don't know the last time I saw such a wolfman, like traditional wolfman looking werewolf, so I'm a big fan of that. It's also definitely worth complimenting KJ Diaz for their work on the colors. The colors really help the comic pop. There's a lot of saturation. Both the art done by Jesus Marino and Diaz's colors really complement each other and also support the writing itself. While I'm talking about creators, I also just want to mention the letterer, Jim Campbell. All in all, the different people working on this came together just to create a really solid looking comic. There is like a classic noir aesthetic and vibe that I thought was really fun, especially when combined with the horror monster elements. While I wish that we did get a little bit more detail about the world and kind of the characters themselves, this is issue 1, so I'm sure it's coming. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but this is a 4-issue series. This is a great foundation for whatever they want to build on in the future, at least in my opinion. But yeah, I guess that's all I really have to say. I'm trying to make this video fast. I had recorded it before, but it ended up being way too long, and I talked way too much about nothing, so I tried to trim the fat a little bit on it with this version. Since this is just one issue, I don't really like these videos getting super long, but yeah. Let me know if you've heard of Los Monstruos or if you want to check it out. I love that monsters are coming back with a vengeance. It's fantastic, and I can't wait to see what people create and what stories they want to tell. The new Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein trailer dropped the other day, and it looks so good. I'm so excited. Anyway, let me know if you've heard of this comic or if you think you want to check it out. I recommend it, but it might not be for everyone, so if you didn't like it, let me know why. Hopefully I'll have something new for you soon, and thank you for checking out the video. Have a great night, YouTube. Bye.